iDS Talks is a podcast dedicated to helping corporations and law firms find new and effective ways to leverage data, giving them a decisive advantage both in and out of the courtroom.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to the iDS Talks podcast, where we seek truth through data. I'm Bobby Williams. I'm a director and expert at iDS, and I'm joined today by the wonderful Bree Murphy. Say hi to everybody, Bree.
Oh, that's very nice of you, Bobby. Thank you for having me. Hi, I'm Bree Murphy. And I don't know if do you want me to introduce myself at all, or are
Well,
you
you know what? I
you gonna
think
take that away?
I have some wonderful things to say about you that I think
Oh
everybody
no.
should know. So I'm going to
I don't
say
know.
those things.
You guys, you can't trust this guy.
Look,
I don't
we'll,
know.
we'll see. You might feel differently about that after I give your bio. So Bree is a consultant at Extero. She's a senior consultant there. Extero is a good company that we actually do some business with. She works to drive excellence through her involvement with ACEDS, where I believe Houston is your home chapter, if I'm
That's
not
right.
mistaken. She works to drive inclusion and empowerment with women in e-discovery, and she is one half of the duo, the e-discovery chicks, which I'm certain we will talk a little bit more about later
I hope
on.
so.
Now, to the listeners, these would all be wonderful reasons to have Bree join us on the podcast today. But it occurred to me to invite Bree when a very special thing happened in December. I was excited to welcome Bree to a very select group of people in our e-discovery community. And I want you all to just consider these ideas, consider these concepts. The concept of service and sparkle, promotion of individuals, inspiration, respect, integrity, and teamwork with mentorship. So each year, our community identifies people who embody these traits, and then we honor one of them with the Gail O'Connor Spirit Award. Gail was a shining example of spirit for those of us who knew her and knew her legacy, and Bree is our newest honoree. So congratulations, Bree, and again, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, it was the greatest honor to receive this award. And of course, following in the footsteps of some people I really admire, like yourself included. So I'm beyond thrilled to be a recipient of this. And I actually did not know Gail personally. So that's also been fun for me. And I mean, I have like FOMO because I feel like I missed out a little bit on knowing her, more intimately, but I certainly know her legacy. And it's fun to hear everybody kind of explain and describe their own relationship with her. Because I'm thinking, gosh, what a phenomenal woman, and how lucky am I to, walk in her shadow. I mean, that's a really great gift and honor that I feel like I've been given. So thanks for that.
Yeah, well, look, like I said, I was excited. I know we met fairly recently. We were at Techno Security West, and we had an opportunity to share time with a bunch of awesome people that I think we both already knew but didn't know each other. And I have found that winning this award for me has introduced me to a lot of awesome people that I didn't know before. My co-honoree last year, Stephanie Clerkin, we have had a lot of subsequent great talks and interactions, and have even done a little bit to try to promote the award so that people know more about Gail and her legacy. So it's got to feel good to know that, to hear people speak so highly of her and then feel like they see those same traits.
Well, I mean, it's intimidating too. I mean, to be honest, I'm like, oh gosh, I got big shoes to fill, man. I got to shape up. But, I think it's cool that as small as our community feels sometimes, to know that we're growing and that we're expanding and how diverse we are as people. I mean, we're all over literally the world at this point. And it's fun to get to see each other kind of boost each other up and try to, I guess, live our lives in a way that's true and authentic and can call the attention of somebody with a legacy like Gail. I mean, that's certainly something to shoot for. I don't know if I've accomplished it yet, but I appreciate the encouragement and we'll keep trying.
Well, I mean, I think that's an important point, right? I think you don't really recognize when you're being awesome to people. You're just trying to be a good person. Like you're just making your best efforts to be a good person and be yourself and be nice to people and, not be a bull in the china shop of social interactions, right?
Hmm.
And, what we see as ordinary, other people like they feel like they don't get enough of that in their interactions with folks in the world. But one
Hmm.
thing I do notice is that even though only one or two people are honored with the award each year, there's always a bunch of finalists. So,
Oh my gosh. And
and
those
then,
finalists are
yeah,
amazing in their
and
own right. Like
yeah, yeah,
I went through the list and I was like, whoa, like these everybody deserves it. Like
yeah,
want to be like
yeah.
Oprah and give everybody the award, you know?
I had that feeling. I was like, when I saw the list, first of all, when you get nominated, you're like, what? It
Hmm.
comes out of left field. And then, you become one of the finalists and you look at the list of finalists, you're like, oh, well, pressure's off. I'm not going to win this award.
Exactly.
When you look at the list of the
Exactly.
finalists, a lot of people didn't know this, Bree, but when we started going through this cycle of nomination and the finalists, and finally you winning the award, um, I shared when we started going to that cycle on social media that I was actually having a really rough time in the last cycle when I received the honor. I am not a person who experiences a ton of self doubt. That's not generally in my personality makeup. Generally feel like, oh yeah, I can try this, I can do this, no problem.
Hmm.
But I, had made some career transitions. And so as a result of that, I started trying some new things and I wasn't hitting home runs initially. And so I had a lot of self doubt at the moment when I received this honor. And it was huge for me, like to feel like even if like I felt like I wasn't being successful in some parts of my life, the most important part of my
Hmm.
life, how I interact with people, I was being successful, even if I wasn't really aware that that was happening. So I'm wondering, like, what was your experience like when like, the moment you learned that you were the winner of the award? Like, you're no longer comparing yourself to the finalists and assuming you're not going to win. Like, it's you. What was that
Yeah.
moment like for you?
Well, I'm not, I mean, I'm always somebody who's going to have something to say about everything. I mean, I'm not always right, but I always have an opinion. And especially if I'm close to you, I will always be running my mouth about something, right? So I walked it when I found out, I found out via phone call and I put my phone down after the conversation and I went into my husband where he's working from home and I just stood there in the doorway with my mouth open, not saying a word. And he's like, "Are you okay? Like, seriously, babe, do you need to go to the hospital?" Like, he's like, "If this woman is not talking, like, we've got some serious problems in this house." I'm like, "I can't, I think there's been a mistake, babe. Like, I don't even know how. Like, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" So I had to explain to him, and I'm showing him all these people that were nominated. I'm like, "There's no way. Like, they must have a typo. Like, should I call him back? Like, I don't know." And he, being the loving husband that he is, he's like, "You know, you're kind of a badass, and I keep telling you that. Would you just accept the compliment?" And I had to sit there in silence for a while and just like let it sink in because I'm not blessed with that gift of always feeling, confident in myself. That's been something I've had to work on my whole life. But at that moment in time, I was feeling like because when you get to be a certain age where you've got that salt and pepper glow about you, you've been in e-discovery for way too long, you hopefully have for if you have a personality type like me, you've hopefully worked through the bull in the china shop years. I certainly had those. I certainly learned that utilizing the drive and the passion in your personality can have a negative impact on people. And those are the things that I have the biggest regret about in my career. And of course, those were in my 20s, which was a long time ago. But that's neither here nor there. But now that I'm older and I see what my true purpose is, and I know what it feels like to be very fulfilled in what you give the world back, I know that every day I want to show up and do the best that I can do. I'm very competitive, but I'm competitive with myself because I really want everybody to succeed, truly and honestly do. But I also want everybody, including myself, to get out of my way so I can succeed. And I want to be able to, like, I don't know, hold the door open as I'm walking through it so that everybody else can come with me, kind of thing. And for a long time, the last, I don't know, I guess the last 4 years actually, I kind of had a career change. I was no longer in house, no longer at a law firm. I was no longer in that same, I didn't have the same requests of my daily time. I was spending my time in a different place in this industry, not knowing, am I doing a good job? Am I doing a bad job? Do I suck at this? Like, I don't know. And, there's a lot of that questioning of who you are, questioning of what you're putting into things. I poured myself into our community for a long time here in Houston through Women in Discovery, through ASEDS, through all the things. And sometimes you wonder, am I making an impact? Like, does it matter? And like, am I actually doing any good? I hope I am because it means a lot to me. But you don't really know. Like you feel kind of unseen. And I think that's what my biggest shock was when I heard, oh God, you're gonna win this award. Like, oh my, people actually look at me? Like I didn't even know anybody's paying attention. Like, my goodness. But it was also the biggest compliment because it's from our peers, right? So it's not a boss giving you your end of the year evaluation. It's it's not a pay for play like vendor, sponsorship opportunity. It's literally people that see what you do behind the scenes that are like, that's kind of cool. And I like what she did there. And that's the biggest compliment I could have ever, I didn't ask for it, but I could have ever like received. I would never have asked for it because I wouldn't think I would have gotten it. But I just am absolutely thrilled and flabbergasted.
Yeah. It's got to be, I know it's awesome to get an award for what you do, but this is kind of an award for who you are. It's kind of
Yeah.
people seeing like the you that you're offering to the community, and and they're like, "Hey, we dig that. Let's shine a spotlight on this person, and let's have more of this." This is
You know what's so funny about that too is that if you are hyper self-critical like I am and a perfectionist, you tend to see only the bad things that you do. And every day I'll go to bed thinking like, God, I should have done this, I should have done that. Like, why did I? And when people are looking at you and going, hey, I want to put a spotlight on that, to use your words, you ask yourself the question, well, if everybody else can see good and if everybody else can see positive, then maybe it's time that you settle down and you see that, and believe in what you're doing and just know that what you're doing is right and it's impacting people in the right way. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I can try to do that. But it's a lesson for me personally, for sure.
yeah, yeah. So you at Xtero, you're not you are a consultant, but you're also a senior consultant.
Well,
Um,
I just was promoted from senior solutions. We were a senior solutions consultant, and we went to a senior solutions engineer,
mm,
and now I am a strategic account executive. So I am getting to be more involved with our clients, and I do a lot of consulting as part of my role, which is my favorite part of my role.
yeah.
But yeah, that's what I'm doing on the day to day at Xtero.
So, people hear phrases like, or terms like senior, they hear terms like executive, like in your current title. And they're like, yeah, well, obvious, this person would be a leader in our community. There's leadership words in their title, right? And sometimes people dissociate themselves with leadership. And they think they can't lead from where they are. But I'm wondering if you have some thoughts on that. Like, you know, what what does someone else do if they want to have an impact on their community, but they don't have like a formal authority?
Yeah. Well, I think, first of all, I'm not really ever been into titles because if you've been around long enough, you know that they kind of don't mean anything to some extent. But, um, I think that understanding that you can be a leader wherever you're planted is one of those lifetime realizations that we all need to make ourselves be aware of. I started kind of understanding this as a paralegal when I was, working in law firms here in Houston where I live. And, not all law firms are created equal, and certainly not all attorneys and paralegals are created equal. And paralegals are usually at the bottom of the totem pole or the bottom of the hill where all the things roll down to. So, if you can imagine, and I'm sure a lot of people that have worked in firms can, being a paralegal is not a role where people look at you and think, oh, great, I can't wait to hear Bree's leadership ideas about how we do things here at the firm. Let's ask her. And, and being Bree, I'm like, well, how come nobody asked me? Like, I have ideas. Like, ugh, nobody wants to hear me. I just don't even exist. Right. So, in my early days in legal, I had to reconcile that in my head and think, first of all, every time that you're somewhere in your career, it's maybe not your time to be the outspoken leader, but it's your time to be the leader and learning. And what I mean by that is you're watching other people be successful or not. And I got a lot of examples of how not to be a good leader. So sometimes that works too. But you're learning on how to do that. But then you can find places where your impact is more direct and people are appreciative of it, like paralegal associations, for example, or Women in E-Discovery or ASEDS, those types of organizations where they're volunteer organizations and you can go in and do whatever you want. Like for me, I feel very comfortable being in charge of something. Like I feel like I'm naked if I'm not in charge of something. Like if I go to your house for a party, I'd be like, what can I be in charge of ice? Like, let me just do something because I feel like I'm, like I'm nervous if I don't have a task. And so, I learned that about my personality and thought, well, I'm going to go volunteer to help with an event or go volunteer to help be on the board or whatever the case might be. And when I got involved, I started reaching out to a more global community. And I think that that's important. You need to make sure you're not in a bubble. It's not about that one law firm that you're at or that one department that you work at in a company. I mean, that's just one little piece of the puzzle, right? There's a whole world out there. So get involved. However, and maybe you're a leader in your local watercolor group or your church or, your needlepoint club. I don't know. But find a place where like-minded people are together, where you have some influence and learn from good and bad examples of how to be a leader and know that there are more people watching you than you ever thought. And in those early days in my career, I had no idea that I would run into the same old jokers. Some of them are my dear friends, 30 years later down the road and want to work right alongside me because they know who I am, I know who they are, and we know each other's strengths and skills and respect each other and want to bring each other along. And you didn't realize that back in the day that, hey, people are actually watching me and seeing what I'm good at, what I'm not. And they're taking note. So you might not see it's kind of like the planting the seed. You might not see the fruits of your labor very quickly, but you'll eventually see them.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people don't get the opportunity or take the opportunity to do things that give them that instantaneous signal that they've accomplished their goal. I think about comedians a lot. Like they get on stage and they tell a joke, and instantly whether or not that joke was funny to the crowd. Same thing. I operate in a few creative communities. One of them's the stand-up comedy community. And even in the stand-up comedy community, and in the improv community, and in the poetry community, these are a lot of spaces where you perform and like the audience tells you instantly, like in the moment, whether or not they understand what you're saying and whether or not they dig it. And,
Hmm.
but in the rest of our lives, like they aren't super expressive about it. They aren't expressive about like how things are impacting them. We
Hmm.
have this saying about, give people their flowers, right? While you still can, while they can receive them. And that's not something that people typically do. It is for many reasons. It's not because people aren't noticing, like you said, this award that you receive is an example that people are noticing. But unless they're prompted, they're kind of drowning in life most of the time. They don't take
Hmm.
the time to be expressive about it. But you are given like a very important message about empowering yourself to lead, like
Hmm.
looking for opportunities to lead. And those opportunities may not be in your professional workspace. They may be in a volunteer organization. They may be engaged with a group of just like-minded people who want to have fun doing this
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm.
And you can be kind of like a facilitator of shared fun and be a leader that way. And I think one of the ways you empower yourself, speaking of, very sharp segues, is becoming part of the e-discovery chicks.
Oh gosh,
eh,
yes.
um, so I'm just wondering, I don't know the history of how that journey started for you. So, how did this whole e-discovery, where was e-discovery chicks born, and how did you become a part of it?
It was a drunken night. No, I'm just kidding. Well, that's how most good things in my life
Ah,
start, but
so many
you know.
stories start there.
No, so Angie Nolay, who is my co-founder and co-host of the eDiscovery Chicks podcast, she was actually a client of Xtero, and she worked in-house as a count of what want to say? I was like counselor as an attorney in house. And she was shopping for e-discovery software. And so I got to demo her product to her. Here's our legal hold, and here's how you can, collect data and preserve data in place and blah, blah, blah. So we got to know each other then, which the first conversation I ever had with Angie, I immediately fell in love with her personality because she's like so animated, so fun, just very smart, very on top of e-discovery, like knew her stuff. And had a lot of fun talking to her. Well, fast forward, she starts the eDiscovery Chicks. Originally had another co-host, and who was also at the same company. I knew both of them, and the other co-host was like, "Dude, this is a lot of work. Like, I'm not, I'm out." So Angie's on the hunt. Like, I still want to do this podcast, but I need a co-host. And it happened that we had an event in Houston. It was a Women in E-Discovery event where we were showcasing the E-Discovery Chicks. And she came clean and like the happy hour afterwards, she was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna need to find another host." So I was wondering what you think about joining me. I started laughing. I was like, "This poor girl. I mean, she must not be able to handle her liquor because she is asking me to be on this podcast, and she doesn't realize I'm probably old enough to be her mom, and I'm not that fun." But I told her, I was like, "I'm too old. Nobody wants to listen to what I have to say, Angie. Like, that's really sweet, but I don't think so." And then she was like persistent. She's like, "No, no, 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 no. You're the person that's supposed to be here. And I think you'd be great. And I think you should just give it a shot." So I agreed that I would give it a shot. And, in my past, a long time ago, I was a radio DJ in college at three different radio stations. And so I did a lot of talking on air and I edited audio, but back then it was like reel to reel audio
Right,
and
right.
things like that. And so I edit the audio for our podcast, and I found out how cool and easy it is now that we have all these newfangled tools.
Yes.
And I got all nerded out over it. I was like, "This is so fun. Oh my God, I forgot how much I love this." And then our rapport back and forth with each other just makes me laugh. Every time we have a podcast, we die laughing about something. There's been so many times I've had to edit out my own laugh because I'm like, I keep trailing on. I'm like, "Oh my God, focus. We're supposed to be talking about e-discovery." I just realized, why would I not do this? And if people don't ever want to listen to it, that's fine. We can still do it if we're having fun. And all of a sudden, it just kind of took off, and that was 3 years ago. So now we're on our third season, and We just celebrated 10,000 downloads of all time. In the last 180 days, we were in 23 countries, which is like unbelievable to me.
Amazing.
And I'm also a little scared of the things I've said that are out there in the world somewhere. I'm like, oh my God, I hope my mom doesn't listen to this. But anyway, that's how it all kind of came to be.
Well, generally, I can say anything I've heard you say has been all right with me. So,
Well, good. Well, good.
I'm probably in the majority if the podcast is doing so well. But I'm happy to hear that you guys are having such success. And you just never know. You never know where these allegiances, where these friendships, you never know where they're going to lead, right? That's kind of why you have to be open to,
Yeah. Well, and
receive what
it's
people have for you.
one of those things about being a leader is that, and I kind of would challenge everybody to like define what you think is a leader that you resonate with, because that means something different to all of us. And
Yeah.
Angie and I, for example, we have totally different personalities, and our strengths are very different than one another in some ways, which is a magical duo for what we do together, because we kind of pick up where the other one, puts it down. So that works out. But for me, I realized early on in my life, well, my mom would tell you 18 months old that I love to talk and I love to present and I love to sing and I always feel comfortable in that role. I let nerves get on to me and insecurities get into my head many times in my life, but I kept pushing through it because I was like, I know this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, you just get that gut feeling. It's like, I know this is part of like my job. Like, I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be the one doing this.
Yeah.
And when you feel like you have a purpose like that, there's a reason you were given it. And generally it is to give you a platform to boost other people up. And that's exactly what Angie and I see the podcast as. We both were given a gift and abilities to do something that gives us a platform, and it gives us so much joy to be able to bring people onto the podcast and be like, look at them, aren't they badasses? Like, this is so cool. And help other people succeed. And they help us. I mean, we learn something every time we
Yeah.
have guests on there. So it's been so much fun. And we do it just in our spare time. And, we don't get paid for it. It's just like we just do it because we love it. And we both have the same mission with it. So,
Oh, that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. You got to find your fun. You got to find
yeah.
your fun. And to do it in a way where you can engage with the community to help other people experience that fun and share the fun with you.
Hmm.
So, this is, plug for everybody who, wants to see how Bree and Angie get down. Check out eDiscovery Chicks.
Oh, thanks.
I think that's it's wonderful. I want you to keep it up. I want you both to have success. If you have anything that you would like any of our listeners to walk away from today's podcast episode with, what do you want to share with the people that they should have as a takeaway?
Well, I think this resonates really well with the Gail O'Connor Spirit Award because she was all about being herself. Herself was, what was it that you said? Glitter? You described it earlier. It was like
Oh,
sparkle. That's what it
yeah,
was.
yeah.
I think about
Sparkle,
glitter.
sparkle,
Yes.
sparkle.
So she had her own version of what being herself looked like and using it to help empower our community and other people. And so my takeaway for you would be to ask you, what is it about yourself that makes you uniquely, wonderfully you? Because for so many years, I tried to fit myself into a box of this is what attorneys value, this is what my law firm values, and that's what I need to strive to do to be successful. And then it was this is what corporate America values, this is what my general counsel values, and this is what I need to be successful. And then all those things fail you because you get lost in everybody else's expectations. And the real question is, what is it about Bree Murphy that is unique that she can provide wherever she's planted so that she can be the leader that she was designed to be? And that's a different answer for all of us. And so when Angie asked me to be on the podcast as an example of like, Bree, get over yourself and just be yourself. Like, that's going to be the thing that people want to listen to. And I still can't believe it. I'm like, God, are they like bored? Like, what is happening in the world today? But it's true. It's like when we can just be ourselves, it's like a magical thing that other people are attracted to. We all want that, especially in the world of AI where everybody's using all these chat GPT and whatever to be the same or to be better, to all have the same look. It's like, bro, be you because you are what makes it special. And me and Angie are different on an age. We're different in religious values. I mean, we're different in a lot of different things. But because we both share the mission of we want to make this community accessible for all people, we want to use e-discovery to touch hearts, to grow people, to empower people to be their greatest selves. We share that fundamental core belief with one another. We both brought ourselves vulnerably to the community, trying to promote that in hopes that everybody else will do the same. Because then when we do, we become better as a whole. So I guess that would be what my parting thoughts are.
Well, having met Angie also at Techno Security West, I can vouch for our listeners that she's also very, very cool and an awesome member of our community. Bree, I'll simply say that, any doubts you may have about your specialness, you should just know as a recipient of this award, our community feels that you are. And you being yourself and identifying the ways that you want to lead, I think you're having success as far as our community goes. So again, Bree, thank you for joining us. Congratulations again on the award. And thank you all for listening to the iDS Talks podcast. We really appreciate the attention and the support. If you want to learn more, please visit ids.com or you can connect with us on LinkedIn. And if you found today's discussion helpful, encouraging, uplifting in any way, tell your friends, tell a colleague, listen to the iDS Talks podcast. Check out the eDiscovery Chicks podcast. Probably got some good stuff to hear over there too. In so many countries, you can be like everybody else who's like, setting off the charts with it. Please remember that at iDS, we don't just manage data, we transform it into insight, and that gives us more insights about people, which is my focus. So thank you all again. Thank you, Bree, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, Bobby. Thanks for having me.